How does a deposit work when buying a new construction home? Do you get it back? And when do you have to actually make the deposit? Let's dive in. I am currently working with a buyer who is relocating here to Las Vegas from the Bay Area. They were under the impression that the earnest money deposit needed for this particular new construction home in this new community was approximately $15,000. So they've allocated $15,000 and put that aside as the earnest money deposit. Now they decided to come out here to meet with me to visit the model homes and speak with the sales consultant. And we just learned that they have increased the earnest money deposit not from $15,000 but to $40,000. And they did not have enough saved to basically go under contract on this particular new construction home. Now I will discuss the topic of whether the earnest money deposit is negotiable or not in this video. But for this particular family, they were not prepared for the $40,000 earnest money deposit, so they had to make a small pause and decide how they were going to get the additional funds in order to secure this particular lot in this particular new construction community. I wanted to start this video off with this story because I think it's very important for you to have a buyer's agent that will sit down with you and explain with you the entire process of purchasing a new construction home and the importance of understanding what that earnest money deposit looks like, not just the amount, but when that is due, and the entire process when it comes to deposits. Myself, as your buyer's agent, we want to make sure our buyers are set up for success. And one of the reasons why I'm making this video is because I have a lot of buyers asking me about the different options we have when it comes with the deposits and the earnest money deposit needed in time of purchasing a new construction home. So let's start off by talking about what is a deposit and why it is so important. What exactly is a deposit? Well, in the context of new construction homes, a deposit is a lump sum that the buyer will give the builder or the developer as a sign of good faith. It shows your commitment to purchase that particular property. It helps secure your chosen home and the lot while it's being built. Now, the big question is, how much should I save and allocate for this earnest money deposit that is needed upfront? Typically, the amount varies based on the builder and the price of the home. In many cases, you can expect to pay a deposit ranging from 5% to 20% of the base purchase price. Let me give you some examples. I've seen builders that would request a flat fee of $5,000, $10,000, or even $20,000. I've also seen builders request 5% of the base price. So for example, if your base price of a home is $500,000, the earnest money deposit needed upfront would be $25,000. For semi-custom homes, ranging from $1 million to $3 million, I've seen builders request a flat fee of $150,000. Some builders have different pricing on the earnest money deposit depending on whether you're purchasing a spec home or a new build. So let's talk about those differences. A spec home, which stands for speculation home, is when a builder builds a home without a buyer in mind. It's also referred as an inventory home. A new home is when a buyer goes through the entire process of choosing the lot, the floor plan, the elevation, structural upgrades, and design upgrades to make it their own customized home. One builder, whose homes range from $600,000 to $700,000, requests an earnest money deposit for a spec home of $40,000 and for a new build of $35,000. For another builder, they require 5% of the total sales price when it comes to spec homes and 5% of the base price plus 20% of the lot premium and 20% of any upgrades made for new builds. So as you can see, it varies based on the builder and it differs if you're buying a speculation home versus a new build. Please note that this will vary based on region to region, so make sure your buyer's agent does their due diligence, talks to the sales consultant to really understand what is needed upfront as earnest money deposit in order to lock down your new construction home purchase agreement. Now, this is a question I get asked a lot from my buyers. Kaori, is the earnest money deposit negotiable? Absolutely. For all of my buyers, I always ask the question to the sales consultant if the earnest money deposit can be negotiable and can be lowered. Let me give you an example. I just had a buyer that went under contract for a new construction home in Summerlin West, purchasing a speculation home where the earnest money deposit was $40,000. $40,000 in earnest money deposit was very high for my buyer, who's actually a 1031 exchange investor. So I asked my sales contact if we could slash it in half to $20,000, and she said yes. Make sure your buyer's agent asks, because if you don't ask, you don't know what the outcome would be. And in my personal experience, when you ask, you're able to get that earnest money deposit lowered. So, how does the deposit process work? Well, once you've selected your ideal new construction home, you'll be moving forward with a purchase agreement. This agreement outlines the term of the sale, including the purchase price, estimated completion date, and of course, the earnest money deposit needed. The timing and the method of payment is usually called out in the purchase agreement. The earnest money deposit is usually paid up front once the purchase agreement is signed. The payment form varies by builder, in most cases by a check or a wire. Lately, I've seen a lot of builders use the ACH payment. They would require the buyer to deposit 1 cent to this ACH account, and then they would also deposit a specific amount that you would need to confirm. And then once the confirmation is made, that's when you would actually make that earnest money deposit in whatever value and amount that is needed to go under contract. This is to avoid wire fraud. Wire fraud is real, and I always advise my buyers to call the title company, speak with the escrow officer to confirm the account number that they would need to wire or make the ACH payment to, because you guys, wire fraud is happening all the time, and as your buyer's agent, I want to make sure your funds are protected at all times. Now, are there situations where you would actually pay the earnest money deposit first before you sign the contract? Yes. And let me give you an example. A couple years ago, when we were seeing multiple offer situations, and actually now when we're also seeing multiple offer situations, builders are getting so much demand from buyers that want the specific same lot. So last week, I had a buyer that was competing for the same lot with multiple buyers, and my sales contact said, whoever brings the earnest money deposit check to the sales office first will be able to move forward with the purchase agreement. So I called my buyer, he was ready to go. We met at the sales office, and we were lucky to be the first one to bring that deposit check so that we were able to go under contract. We are now experiencing higher demand of buyers who want the same lot. So for my buyers to be successful, I always advise my buyer as the buyer's agent to have their earnest money deposit check ready to go in the event these lots are released, and when these sales contacts contact me, we are ready to go and we're able to deliver these earnest money deposit checks right away. It is my job as your buyer's agent to go through the purchase agreement, especially the cancellation clause, so that my buyers understand when and how their earnest money deposit is protected. Some builders offer a refund on your earnest money deposit in the event you change your mind on this purchase agreement. Now, what I'm experiencing here is it's usually a 5-day cancellation policy from the time that you sign that electronic document to go under contract with the purchase agreement. Within that 5 days, if you have cold feet or if you have any change in mind, you're able to cancel that contract and get your earnest money deposit back. It's very critical for you to take your time to sit down with your buyer's agent and review the purchase agreement in detail, especially the cancellation clause. For me, as your buyer's agent, it's very critical to go over this purchase agreement, especially the cancellation clause. I usually do it over Zoom for my buyers out of state, so I will share my screen and go over the purchase agreement page by page. If my buyer is in town or a local buyer, we will meet here at my office at the Uncommons and go over that page by page, so they're fully aware of the cancellation terms and that their earnest money deposit is protected up to a certain amount of time. Now let's talk about it a little bit deeper. For my buyers that are financing, they usually get pre-approved by the lender, which is a partner of that particular builder. Now that lender will have 30 days to go through the whole underwriting process with my buyer so that they are fully approved. And so after that point, obviously canceling and getting that earnest money deposit will be much more challenging. But in an event, if my buyer has a change in their employment status and can no longer verify their income to purchase this new construction home during that 30-day window, if they do not qualify within that window, as your buyer's agent, I could definitely negotiate and see if we could get the earnest money deposit back for you. I'm currently working with a buyer who is a 1031 exchange investor. This was a unique situation because my 1031 exchange investor had to sell their property in order to purchase this new construction home. So we had an additional addendum that protected them on their earnest money deposit for a longer period of time. So they had this additional allocated time to sell this home that was contingent on purchasing this new construction home. By the way, if we haven't met yet, konnichiwa. My name is Kaori Nagao, your global real estate advisor, helping you find your new home. Whether it's a new construction home or a resale home anywhere in the world, I'll be more than happy to help you along the home buying process. I really appreciate you watching my videos. I love it when you engage with me, so keep making those comments. And thank you so much for watching. Let's keep going. Now it's time for a pop quiz. I want to make sure you have been paying attention to my video. Is the earnest money deposit due before or after signing the purchase agreement? Comment below. The first person who answers it correctly will get a shout out on my next video. For my relocation guide you need when moving to Las Vegas video, I want to take this opportunity to do a shout out for these subscribers that had engaged with me. Thank you so much, Addie B-Ball. You were the first one to comment Las Vegas Golden Knights. I also want to do a special shout out to Richard Goss 2458 and British acting coach for also engaging with me. Thank you so much. Deposits offer some advantages for both the buyer and the builder. For the buyer, it protects them to secure their dream home, protect them from price fluctuations, and give them enough time to go over their financing options. For the builders, it helps them with their project financing and ensures committed buyers. And there you have it, a whole breakdown of deposits and how they work when purchasing a new construction home. Remember to do a thorough research on the builder, read the purchase agreement with your buyer's agent and understand the different terms, and make sure you protect your earnest money deposit in the event you have a change in mind and you want to cancel the purchase agreement. For more videos about new construction homes, make sure you check out one of the videos surrounding me. Thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could smash that subscribe button so other viewers that are watching my videos like yourself interested in new construction homes can find me online. Make sure you engage with me. I love to hear from you, and see you on the next one.